Hi friends, welcome back to Sheena's Homestead. Today we are in the kitchen, which is brand new for us because we have been out in the garden almost all year, but it is getting really cold and there's not too much to garden, so we are switching back inside. I'm going to show you how to make some really yummy recipes and fun things for this holiday season. We're going to start off with something that is really delicious. It is a take on an old classic. It is a salted pumpkin caramel cheesecake, and it will blow away everyone. So let's get started. It's really easy and I'm going to show you how to do it. So the original recipe calls for sugar, but I don't use a lot of sugar in my house. So today we are going to use honey. So I've got 2 blocks of cream cheese here and they are at room temperature. And I have 1/3 cup of honey. I will put the regular sugar conversions down in the comment section so that you can see how this recipe would come together if you are using sugar. When we're using honey, we use slightly less. So we've got that. And in the original recipe, it calls for brown sugar. So all I'm going to do to get that nice smoky brown sugar flavor is add about a teaspoon of molasses right into our recipe. And I am going to cream this together. Okay, so now we're going to add our eggs just one at a time until they are fully incorporated. Now we have 1/4 cup of sour cream. And I'm going to take the opportunity here to wipe down the sides of the bowl, scrape it, and make sure it all gets really well mixed. Okay, so we're going to put this aside. This is our cheesecake portion of this dessert, and now we are going to make the pumpkin side of this delicious dessert. As most of you know, I can my own pumpkin. I grow my own pumpkins and I can them. So I am going to open this fresh jar and we are going to scoop out 1 cup. Okay, so that's about a cup. And again, I'm using honey. So this is 3/4 cup of honey, but if you're going to use sugar, you use a whole cup of sugar. And then here I am adding 1/4 cup of olive oil. You can use whatever oil you prefer. I always bake with olive oil. I don't taste it in the final product, and it's much healthier for you. Now I have vanilla that we made ourselves. Just a teaspoon. Now I'm going to add our flour. This is 1 1/3 cup. I'm using einkorn flour, but you can use regular flour. Just a little tip about einkorn flour, it's pretty amazing. It is one of the oldest varieties of plant on the face of the planet. So einkorn is 12,000 years old, and it is a variety of flour that dates as far back as we know, and therefore it is a lot easier for our bodies to digest because it's an older grain that has been around for such a long time. And it just doesn't have the same gluten effect that regular flour does. So I have switched over to einkorn flour for all of my uses. It does have more of like I would say a nuttier, full flavor, whereas I feel like regular flour just doesn't taste like much at all. It blends into whatever you have, but I feel like einkorn just makes things a little richer, and we have loved it. I use it in my sourdough, I use it in all of my baking, and the kids love it. And Rob and I feel like we don't have any side effects that gluten usually gives us. So, you know, it might be a extra full feeling, or sometimes a stomach ache, or even a blood sugar level variance, and we don't have any of those side effects when we use our einkorn flour. So it has definitely become a family favorite. And now I am using a whole teaspoon of baking powder. You can see mine is aluminum free. And then we are going to use 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm using a whole teaspoon of salt. And mine is Celtic sea salt. It has a lot more nutrients in it than regular table salt. And then we have our spices. So I have pumpkin pie spice, and then I have cinnamon as well. So I like to be pretty generous with my pumpkin pie spice. This recipe calls for 1.5 teaspoons, and I am probably going to double that. That looks good to me. And then our cinnamon is supposed to be 1/2 teaspoon, but I'm going to use a whole teaspoon. Whoops, that was a little more than I anticipated, but that is okay. We love cinnamon. So we're gonna mix this all together. So that's a rough mix, and now I'm going to add 1/3 cup of milk. So this is another thing that the recipe doesn't call for, but I am going to add it. I have fresh nutmeg, and I take it and just grind a little bit myself. And that adds so much flavor and so much warmth to anything that you're making that is savory. I add it to a lot of things in the fall, including my very special chicken pot pie soup recipe. So I buy whole nutmeg, and then I just give it a little tiny bit, and then add that in. Well, you can see that wasn't very hard at all. So now we have our pumpkin cake mixture, and we have our cheesecake mixture, and we are going to combine them together right in the pan. So here's my 9-inch spring pan. So I have just taken a piece of parchment paper, cut it in a circle and put that at the bottom. And now I am going to spray it just for a little extra added security. I have my coconut oil spray and I'm just gonna give that a good spray right over the sink. And we are all set to go. Right, so we're gonna start with our pumpkin cake mixture first. So I'm gonna put about 1/3 of this cake mixture onto the bottom of the pan, just like this. And I'm gonna let it flatten and layer out. So I'm gonna spread it so that this will be the bottom of our cheesecake. So you can just turn and go in little circles like this. It's really easy. Okay, so now we're gonna take our cheesecake and just put it in big dollops, separate places all over this pan. And don't worry how it looks because we are going to swirl it all together. So now we'll go back to our pumpkin. You kind of want to spread it over the top of that. And notice I'm not mixing anything yet. Okay, and then last, we're back to the cake. Then whatever you have left of the cream cheese filling, you can see how I just keep layering it. There's no wrong way to do this. Okay, so now I'm going to use the tip of this spoon and I'm just gonna kind of swirl around, going a little deep to mix the other layers. And you can see how pretty it is starting to look. It's good to go kind of deep because you are mixing up those other layers, but don't go too deep because you don't want to affect the bottom. Okay, and I think that looks good. What do you guys think? Okay, so now here is the crazy part. This cheesecake is hands-off. We don't have to do a water bath with it. It might crack on the top, but that is okay because we are gonna decorate the top with a bunch of whipped cream and my homemade caramel sauce. So we don't care what the top looks like. It'll be just fine, believe me. So we're gonna put this in the oven now at 350 degrees. Okay, so into the oven we go. We'll be back for you soon. So we are gonna let that bake at 350 degrees, for 15 minutes here. And then we're gonna lower the temperature to 325 degrees. And then we'll let that bake for an additional 35 minutes. So it is time for me to clean up my kitchen. I will see you back here when the cheesecake is done in just a couple minutes. Okay, so I've cleaned everything up and now it is time for us to make the whipped topping, which is a real whipped cream, and we're gonna make it out of our whole heavy whipping cream. We have some honey and some of my real vanilla, and that is it. It's just 3 ingredients and it's really easy. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, so we have our stand mixer and I'm gonna make sure it's up and ready to use. And I'm just gonna eyeball this, but generally speaking, you use about 2 cups of heavy cream. And I have the rest of our honey here. And you can absolutely use sugar if you don't want to add any more sweetness. You can use none at all. And it's completely up to you. I have done that before. And to us, it still tastes great. So I'm just gonna get the rest of that honey drizzled in. All right, and then the finishing touch is our vanilla. And you can use about a teaspoon or whatever floats your boat. You can also add a little bit of rum or something, sweet and warm. Just about a teaspoon will do. And then you're gonna wanna get that just started. And then I cover it so that we don't get any splattering. And then I turn it all the way up. So our 15-minute timer just went off. I lowered the temperature to 325 and put 30 minutes back on. And just to show you what it looks like, it's looking good. Okay, that's looking good. We want to see nice stiff peaks, and let's see. Yeah, we are definitely there. You don't want to let it go too far, otherwise you will have butter. All right, another element to our dessert is done. So I'm going to give this to a very patient person who has been sitting here waiting that she can lick something. So there you go, okay? So now we have our whipped cream. We already have our caramel sauce, and you can use your favorite store-bought caramel sauce. I will do a video on how to make this. It was pretty simple, and like I said, absolutely delicious. I'll never do it any other way. So you gotta add this to your cooking repertoire. And now we just wait for our cheesecake. Okay, the timer went off and now we are going to just turn everything off, the oven completely and entirely. We are going to let it sit for 5 minutes and then we're gonna take it out and put it on a cooling rack. All right, it's time. And it's done. It has very minimal cracks on it. So we're gonna put it right here on the wire cooling rack. So you can see a couple of the cracks on the top, which if we had put it in a water bath, those would not happen. But that's what makes this recipe so easy because we're covering the top anyway. But look at those beautiful swirls. When we cut into this, it's going to be absolutely delicious. So I'm going to loosen this pan. It's gonna help it cool down. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, so we have given our cheesecake a little bit of time to rest, and as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. And we have our cloud-like whipped cream here that we made fresh and our caramel sauce. So I cannot wait to taste test this recipe. I'm going to cut ourselves a little piece right now. Now, if I were serving this to a large group right now, I would just put the whipped cream all over the top and sprinkle our caramel sauce. But for right now, it's just me. So I'm gonna show you how we take the whipped cream. We're just gonna place it on the top here, make it light and billowy. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of this caramel sauce, and watch it just drizzle over the top. Oh my goodness, that was quite a lot, but that's okay. The time has come. All right, I gotta get some whipped cream on there too. Want the whole package. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so good. This is one of those desserts that just is so escalated. It takes it to the next level. There's pumpkin in there. There is cream cheese, but neither one overpowers the other. And they come together for this great symphony in your mouth. This is the perfect Thanksgiving dessert. And it is a really impressive and beautiful dessert at that. So I think you will be the star of the show if you make this for your Thanksgiving dinner. It is so good. It's just perfectly delectable. Well, my friends, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed following along while I made this recipe. I am going to serve this at our Thanksgiving dinner this year, and I just know it's going to be a big hit. I hope that it is a hit for you too. If you do end up making this, please leave a comment down below. And if you don't mind, like, share, comment, and subscribe to Sheena's Homestead. Any questions that are left down below, I will make sure to answer them. And if I don't know the answer, I'll make sure to find the answer for you. So have a great week, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye, my friends.